Sentencing, prison, and punishment. What is a sentence? A sentence is declaring the punishment of an offender. Let's start off with the scenario. Two armed men, Azar and Faisal, decide to rob a jewelry store. Azar has a criminal record for robbery, abuse, and has been charged with possession of a weapon before. However, Faisal is very poor, does not have a weapon on him, and has no criminal record. This robbery is obviously considered a crime because it is an act considered harmful and wrong to society. However, what category does this criminal offense apply to based on its seriousness? Azar would be charged with an indictable offense because the offense is serious. This would lead to a minimum penalty of 2 or more years. However, since Faisal is poor and does not have a criminal record, his offense could be brought down to a hybrid offense if the theft was under $5,000. A summary offense could be public nudity, which is a minor offense that usually does not lead to any prison or punishment, maybe 6 months at least. However, all sentencing is up to the prosecutor and reflects their social values. Some people believe that they are too soft on inmates. Others believe that they are too harsh. Now let's walk through the steps of sentencing. There are 6 main goals when punishing an offender. They include protection of the public, retribution, deterrence, rehabilitation, restitution. So, protection of the public. The principle behind this sentence is that the punishment must serve a useful purpose. Incapitation means that in some way the offender is made incapable of reoffending. Examples are driving bans and curfews. Retribution. Retribution rests on the notion that if a person has knowingly done wrong, he or she deserves to be punished. Eye for an eye. Deterrence. There is a belief that punishment for a crime can convince people not to offend. So there are 2 forms: specific deterrence and general deterrence. Specific deterrence is considered with punishing an individual offender in the expectation that he will not offend again. General deterrence is related to the possibility that people in general will avoid committing the crime, and by the threat of punishment, they are caught. Rehabilitation. The philosophy of this goal is that offenders can be healed and then successfully re-enter society when their sentence is complete. Restitution. This is aimed at compensating the victim of the crime. Some projects have also included bringing together the offender and the victim. This is called restorative justice. Restitution may include payback to society, usually in the form of community service. Denunciation. This is a way of showing society's disapproval of criminal activity. The sentence has a message to both the defendant and the public of disapproval of that type of behavior and that justice is being done. Describing the offender situation. This includes any interviews and their history or potential. The defense and Crown can also respond to the sentencing and call witnesses to testify. Finally, each side appeals the sentence. The court makes a decision based on the criminal code. To determine the correct penalty, judges also refer to precedents, which are previous similar cases. However, there are circumstances that could report describing the offender situation. This includes any interviews and their history or potential. The defense and Crown can also respond to the sentencing and call witnesses to testify. Finally, each side appeals the sentence. The court makes a decision based on the criminal code. To determine the correct penalty, judges also refer to precedents, which are previous similar cases. However, there are circumstances that could change the sentence, such as mitigating circumstances, which are circumstances of the crime that reduce the responsibility of the offender where the penalty may be decreased, and aggravated circumstances, which are circumstances of the crime that increase responsibility when the penalty may be increased. Sentencing and prison punishment falls under Section 12 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This charter states that everyone has a right not to be subjected to any cruel or unusual treatment or punishment. Section 12 prohibits treatment and punishment by the state that is cruel and unusual. This includes torture, excessive or abusive use of force by law enforcement officials. Also, sentences of imprisonment must match the seriousness of the crime committed. For example, an extremely long prison sentence is not appropriate for a very minor crime. Political spectrum. On the political spectrum, the left wing believes that the sentencing should be very minimum. The offenders and their lives should be taken into account before declaring a sentence. However, the right wing believes that the offender should be punished no matter what their mental status, family status, or past life experiences. They believe in the phrase an eye for an eye. So when the capital punishment comes to account, the right wing believe in death penalty. However, the left wing would diminish it completely. In conclusion, in Canada, criminal law is governed by the Criminal Code. Sentencing when it comes to prison punishment is declared after one is found guilty of a crime. The sentence is determined based on the hearing from the Crown and defense.